Why do parents need to learn parenting actually? So please make that case.
So a couple of things. Okay, the first thing is people think parenting comes naturally. Okay, and it does. So every animal parents naturally. Okay, every bird, every animal. So bringing up a life or bringing up a child is natural.
Right.
But bringing up a human being is not natural. And a case in point is that if you really look at humanity, the humaneness of in the world, not just in India, go across the world. If you look at last 30, 40 years, and if I ask you, if you rate the humaneness or humanity existing 40, 30 years back and today, what would you say? Where has it gone?
It's gone down for sure.
And going down at a very drastic space.
Correct.
Like relationships, people, you name it.
Right.
Right. So raising human beings is not natural.
Correct.
So that needs to be learnt, that needs to be acquired, it's a skill.
Correct.
And if I tell you about the brain science behind it. So if I ask you a question, Kritika, in all living organisms, right, across the world, how would you rate human mind across all living organisms? The power of a human mind.
Obviously, it's like the highest.
The
right?
highest. The
Right.
works, right?
Right.
And when a child gets born, right, when you and I were born, the day we were born, the capacity is right up there. But what is the capability of a human mind? Capability, not capacity. Capability of human mind when they are born at the time of birth.
I'm like very reduced, right? Nothing, right?
Except the normal, natural thing which is happening automatic, which is your breath or your blood flowing or your digestive system. Except that, everything else we have zero control on. We can't move our hands. If a child poops, they can't even clean it up. It's like I can't do anything. That mind is completely blank. But the capacity is humongous. Now, where is that capacity getting converted into capabilities? The mind has some few trillion, like the brain cells, which keep getting connected every millisecond. Now, where are they getting connected? By what inputs are we getting? So look at it. First couple of years, where are we getting the inputs from?
Getting it from our immediate environment, which is family.
The family, the parents, the siblings, the grandparents, or the relatives.
Like whoever's right up in close
whatever
contact.
is getting into my head, whatever is getting through my ears, is creating those synapses in my brain. So after 3-4 years, my environment exceeds. It expands. Teachers start to come in, siblings, friends start, not even friends, but I would say teachers, school, right? That's where I'm getting most exposure. My peers, my friends at school start talking about it. Now, by the time I have 6, 7, there's a lot of connections already made, and all those connections are primarily made at home. Now, the first thing a human brain hears is what? When a child is born, the first few words which are being talked about are saying, who is he or she looking like?
Right.
That's the seed of comparison sown right in your head the minute you're born. And then we struggle with comparisons all our life. Now, how do we get that out? That's what is the game of parenting all about. So your brain is getting completely wired in the way your environment is thinking. And then you're done. But the good thing is that science tells us that human brain is plastic. It can be rewired. So whatever damage or whatever wiring which has happened in the early few years can be rewired. And that what is the game of parenting. How can you actually rewire what you've already wired?
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a couple of challenges, like how can parents actually navigate certain challenges which I've seen very commonly around me, right? Like I have been a teenager now almost a few years ago. I have a younger brother, he's 8 years younger to me, and like I saw his teenage very closely, and so did you actually. But in general, you know, like, I mean, I've seen that when, you know, when we are growing up, it's almost normal to start becoming more private, right? Like with parents especially, right? Like in fact, I think, like, you know, generation gap is very, very real. So we also don't share with parents because they don't get it, right? Like they don't get a lot of what's happening. So how can parents actually, you know, maintain open lines of communication?
Let's not blame parents here, okay?
Okay.
That they don't want to.
I'm giving you the voice of a teenager.
No, I know the voice of a teenager says कि उनको समझ में नहीं आएगी. They don't understand. They don't get us.
Right.
And that's why we start blaming them.
Right.
ठीक है. And if I'm talking to a parent, it's the same voice.
Correct.
ठीक है. They don't get it.
Yes.
We are doing everything for them.
Yes.
They don't get us. And one word which you use, the generation gap. By the way, generation gap is a myth.
It's a myth?
It's a myth.
Mm.
It's a communication gap.
Mm.
It's a pure communication gap. And let's go to the genesis of it. Like, why does it come into being? It has always been there. But it's not. As you said, if we keep communicating, there is no gap. I'm a parent of a 24 and an 18-year-old.
Right.
And I can tell you, there is no generation gap.
I'm sure.
Absolutely. And I'm 55.
Yes.
Okay. So 55 and an 18-year-old daughter.
Right.
And the generation gap. If you really ask me personally, if I can name one soulmate of mine, that will be my daughter.
Oh, wow.
So that's the kind of communication we have.
Right.
So let's go to the genesis of why does it happen. You know, parents learn that we parents, and you also. By the way, you've already learned your parenting.
Mm.
You've already done that.
From my parents?
So what happens is, while you were being brought up,
right,
your dad and mom did something which you liked.
Correct.
That's gone into your subconscious mind that this is great for children.
Mm.
We should do this.
Mm.
And there were things they would have done which you obviously didn't like. That's also gone into a bucket called, I won't do this. This doesn't work. Parents shouldn't talk like that. Parents shouldn't do this. Parents should do this. Parents should do this. Parents should do this. So by the time you become a parent, you'll be 34, 35, whatever age. Your structure, what is the perfect and the best parenting style, is already constructed.
Correct.
Right? And now your husband. His name is Arjun?
Yes, his name is Arjun.
Okay, Arjun was being brought up in a different place.
Yeah.
So his set is already done. Now what was happening at your household was very different from what is happening in another household.
Correct.
So for example, in your case, if discipline worked, you would say discipline is great. If in his case discipline didn't work and he rebelled, he would say discipline won't work. So he's got a set which is already set, the perfect, and you've got a perfect side. And then you get married and then you have a kid. So what's going to happen?
Conflict.
One conflict. Second, think about it.
Confusion.
If a child gets born in your house, you will do exactly the same. For example, if it was a B child, you will still do the same style.
Right. Yeah,
So
I would.
instead of A, if Vanya was born into your house,
Yeah.
you would do exactly the same.
Correct.
So listen to this very carefully. Our parenting is independent of the child. Your style is fixed. A child walks in and you have nothing to do with the child.
Oh, right. And which is why, you know,
So when a parent talks, you don't talk this language because you're talking your language. You're talking not to him, but you're talking to yourself. So if you were raising yourself, this was the best parenting style. But sweetheart, you're not raising yourself. You're raising a different human being in a very different era.
Right.
It's 2025 when maybe you will become a mother.
Yeah.
You were raised in 1990s.
Yes. The era minus smartphones.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And then you said, हम ऐसे करते थे, तुम ऐसे करते हो. हाँ. Even the air is not the same.
Yeah.
How can I be same? So you are actually talking to yourself versus a child. That's why they don't get it.